Hello, hello. This is LinkXGL, or Lucrecious as some other you guys may know me as. Today we're going to be doing some Minecraft modeling. We're going to be creating a model in Minecraft, and then we're going to use that model as the armor in-game. So, the reason I'm making this tutorial is because I had a lot of trouble putting armor into my own mod. And it was really annoying to get it working properly. Now this whole series is just gonna be to get the armor model in the game. The armor is not gonna do anything. It's just gonna be the model, and it's gonna be a glitchless model. Alright? That's all we're gonna do. We're just gonna get the model into the game. It's not gonna do anything special. That's all. This first video is just gonna be on the modeling, so if you want to skip this video you can. The next video will be on texturing, then we'll do some programming, and then we'll do some more programming. The programming videos will be split differently, and I'll explain that when we get there. So let's get started. A few things before we start. Actually, you do need to know the basics of Minecraft modding. You need to know how to set up your environment. You also need to know how to use Java, or how to write programs in Java. And that's it. New Boston has made tutorials for Java. I know some other people have made tutorials for Java. You need to know a little bit of Java to actually be able to mod Minecraft. And you also need to know the basics of setting up your modding environment with Forge, because we're going to be using Forge. So let's get started. I'm using Techne. You can find this on the Techne website. Just search it up on Google, Techne Minecraft, and it should be like the first few results. It's very obvious which one it is. Open it up. This will be the first thing that you see. And this is basically the editor we're going to use to model our stuff in Minecraft. The reason we're using this is because as an easy export to Java, and it has a bunch of classes here that we can use for our disposal. The one we're going to be using is Model Biped. The reason we use Model Biped, you may recognize this as the model for the player and the zombies. The armor is also a Model Biped, right? The model for armor is Model Biped, but expanded a little bit, and then with a different texture. So it looks like you're wearing something over it. They're reusing the player model for the armor model. That's why we're using Model Biped. So let's get started by writing the name here. I'm going to just call it Model Custom Armor. You can use any naming convention you want, is what I like using. Right here's the texture width and texture height. Now Model Biped, it's by itself, already uses the 64 by 32, a lot of it. So we're going to just change this to 64. Now 64, adding those extra 32 pixels, that's a little bit overdoing it, but in case you want to, in case you need more space for the stuff you're gonna add to the model, then go ahead. I'm gonna keep it at 32, or for the sake of this tutorial I'm gonna make it 64, because there are a few things we need to note about making having a different size for your model. Okay, if you don't need any more space, just use 32. If you need a lot more space, obviously you can increase them, but you shouldn't need more than 64. 64 is a lot, trust me. So let's create. So you can see this is very recognizable I can't speak model. This is the player model, and also the armor model and the zombie model in Minecraft. And this is what we're going to be using as our base. This is how all armor looks like, right? It has there's the helmet, the arms, the body, and the feet, right? It's just textured differently, and that's it. Alright? So, let's get started. Right here, you can see we have the dimensions for stuff, the offset. What we want to do first is actually just add a box. Everything in Minecraft is made with boxes. Everything. So, you can't add any other 3D shapes, just boxes, which is not limiting it at all. You could still make very cool stuff A lot of cool armor has been made with just boxes. All the Twilight, for example, the Twilight forest mods have been really cool. The Tinker's Construct mod doesn't even use, or like the newest Tinker construct just uses boxes, the wings and stuff. Everything uses boxes and it looks nice. So it shouldn't be limiting to whatever you want to make. So let's add a new box here. It says cube because it starts off as a cube. This blue sphere here is the rotation point. Whenever we add something to our model, we want it to have the same rotation point as the part we wanted to rotate with. So for example, this cube, we're going to make the horns for this head, right? So this cube needs to have the same rotation point as the head because we want it to move with the head, right? Now the reason we do this in Techne is not for programming purposes at all. It's just so we can see how it's gonna look like when we rotate the cube. Once we put it in programming, wherever you put your rotation points, it does not matter. But the reason we do put them here is so when we rotate them in Techne, it'll look fine in programming. But in programming, rotation points, whatever rotation point you set here for your model won't matter because you're gonna make these boxes childs of whatever part you're putting it on, and then it won't matter where the rotation point is because it'll be set to the rotation point of the parent. And you'll see what I mean when we get into program. Anyways, so now that we have this cube, I want to make like a unicorn horn. So I'm gonna go here and move this up a bit. This is the offset. If we change the position, this changes the rotation point. We don't want to change that. We'll leave it at 0, 0, 0 because 0, 0, 0 is the same rotation point as the head. All we want to do is change the offset, which moves the model, not the rotation point. So let's move it above the head. Let's increase the dimensions here by 1 on each side. You'll also notice that I'm increasing the Y to actually move it up and down. That's something that basically only Minecraft has. Up and down is usually Z in most programming languages, but up and down is Y in Minecraft. So that's why it's the second value. Z is forward and back, and X is side to side. Now, I haven't been explaining this very much, but if you didn't, if you couldn't just figure this out on your own, you select models by just left clicking. You can also select models here. You can see this is the shape we just added. This is here. We can select models through this. We can click here. So just in case you lose your shape, you can find it here. So now we're gonna move this to the middle of the head, and we're gonna move it forward. But this here is way too forward, and this here is not forward enough. So what we can do is just click on this, make sure it's highlighted 0.45. Oops, negative 4.5. Okay, and this will be perfect. I don't want it to be so in, but not so far out. And you can only go down to the 10th decimal place. Alright, so this is set perfectly how you want it. Let's go ahead and name this. I'm gonna just name it base horn, and base horn, and we're gonna save. In Techne, you need to save. You need to make backups. You need to save because this program is a little bit glitchy, and sometimes you can accidentally, if you're not really familiar with it, you can accidentally delete everything you've made. I know I've done it before. I know other people who've done it. Just save and make backups. It's for your own good. Anyways, we're gonna just keep going with this model. We're gonna press Ctrl C because we want to copy this. We're gonna go out here to edit and paste with coordinates. What this does is it copies the shape and it pastes on the same coordinates. If we just did Ctrl V, it would paste with the 0, 0, 0 on the position and 0, 0, 0 on the offset. With paste with coordinates, it pastes with the position and the offset of the shape in your clipboard. Alright, so let's just quickly name it here. I'm gonna name it Horn 1. I'm gonna save. Then we're gonna take this and we're gonna move it up a bit, and we're gonna decrease the size. by 1 by 1 by 1 because we want the horn just to be very small. Now these dimensions actually correspond to the pixels on every side. So right here, what you're looking at, this will be a pixel in your texture. This is a pixel, right? That's a pixel. This entire thing here is going to be 2 by 2. This front here is going to be 2 by 2 pixel. This is going to be 2 by 2. So keep that in mind. Now that we have it small enough, now you'll notice that I want to move it to the middle of this box. But as I said before, if we move it to the right, it's too far to the right. To the left, it's too far to the left. So we can just do what we did before and just set it right in the middle like that. Now, what we're gonna do is we want to rotate it. We want to make this like unicorn horn, right? So let's take this and rotate it like so. Notice that we're rotating around this point. This is the reason why we have this box have this rotation point, because if it were somewhere else, right, and we put it into Minecraft, it wouldn't rotate like this in Minecraft. So that's why we need to have it have the same rotation point. In programming, the rotation point does not matter, but here it does, because we want to make sure that we rotate it in the way that Minecraft will rotate it once we put it into the programming. Okay, so now the local axes have changed. This is the Y, this is the Z. So we have to move it back here how we think it should go. So that's the Y, and where's the Z? Here's the Z. So we're gonna just move it back up like so, and there it is. We're gonna move it down on the Y just to have it inside, but that's too far down, so I'm gonna put it at negative 10.5. Perfect. That's how I want it to be. I also want it to be a giant horn, so let's increase the size on the Y. Let's make this a horn that's by 5. You'll see it's going inside, so what we can just do is just increase the offset on the Y. There we go. Our unicorn horn. Perfect. Also, before you do anything else with rotation, what you want to do, of course save, but what you want to do is make sure that you don't rotate it in more than one axis, because Techne doesn't know how to put that into the Minecraft programming well, and Minecraft doesn't know how to rotate it well. So it's like a double whammy, right? You could technically rotate a box in 2 different directions. For example, right here, this is just rotating in one direction, right? This is 0, this is 0, that's like 31 degrees, 34, right? But we can't rotate it like this, or it'll mess up in programming. This may seem limiting, but if you look at many other armors, this is how they only use 1 rotation point. You could use 2 rotation points, but I can't guarantee it'll look exactly how you want it to look. Alright? Using 2 rotation points is a little bit funny. That's all I'm saying. So be careful with that. I just suggest keep it simple and just have 1 rotation point. Okay? So, now that we have our horn, we're done with the head. Now what I want to make it have is just 2 giant shoulder pads. Shoulder pads. Okay? So, let's go here and add a new cube, because we don't need to copy this anymore. Let's save. Let's make a backup now. I'm making a backup for myself because I've had a few times where I've accidentally deleted my own work. So I'm gonna just name this armor 2. Alright, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make shoulder pads with this, and this is just to show you the where to put the rotation points. So notice this rotation point is here. The position is the rotation point. So this is -5, 2, and 0, right? So this rotation point for shape 1 needs to be -5, oops, 2, and 0, and now it has the exact same rotation point as this arm, right? And if you ever, by the way, if you ever lose your object, just click it here, because I know you sometimes can't see through it. So let's click shape. Let's name this. This is the right shoulder from the player side, right? If we go to the the back of the player. This is the right shoulder, right? Okay, so let's make these giant shoulder pads. So I'm going to make 5 by 5 by 5. Oops, by 6. There we go. Now we're going to move it into place. We use the offset. And as I said, this rotation point is not going to matter because we're not going to rotate this box. So this rotation point, pointless. We just put it there just in case you want to rotate. If you do want to rotate it, you can. If you want to use 2 directions, try it, but I can't guarantee that it'll work exactly how you want it to work, sadly. If someone knows how to guarantee that rotation in 2 directions, how to make it guaranteed it'll work, please share, because I'd love to know as well. But this tutorial, we're just keeping it simple. And you can do a lot with just 1 direction rotation. You'll see that this will look it'll look okay. So now that we have this done, we're going to press Ctrl C and Ctrl V and paste it. Notice that it pastes here and not here, and the offset is now changed back, so everything is back to 0, 0. Remember when we went up to here and we pressed paste with coordinates, then it would be back to this one here. Remember? Yeah. Okay, so let's select the okay, let's select the shoulder we just made, and instead of right shoulder, we're gonna call it left shoulder, and make sure to accept that. And now we're gonna save, select the left shoulder, and we're gonna move it to this side. So just by symmetry, this is gonna be 5 and this is gonna be 2. And now let's do the offset again. Oops. Let's make it bigger. My bad. Move it more. Oops. A bit more this way. Too much that way. 5. There we go. Let me just see if it's symmetrical. And it is. So now we're going to save. We're going to go into here. Save as. We're making a backup now. Always make a backup. Trust me. I've made mistakes where I've deleted everything. You may. This is just to save you the trouble of getting sad and having to redo everything. So now that we have all the stuff we want in our model, I'm just going to keep it very simple. Big shoulder pads and that. Now we're going to make sure that our texture's fine. Remember all that extra space we had? Well, notice that it's way too much space for me. Right? Way too much. But I'm going to keep it at 64, 64, just to show how to change the texture size in programming for your benefit. So the horn is right here, and we can change. Right now it's right here in the corner and it's overlapping with the head, and we don't want that, because if it overlaps with the head, it means if we draw something there, it'll be both on the head and on the horn. We don't want that, so we're gonna move that out of the way. Let's move it here with the offset parameter. Move it over here. This here, you see it's on top of the head again, so we're gonna move it out of the way. And this is monotonous. There you go. And the shoulder pads. I actually want to copy the image on the shoulder pads, so I'm gonna just put them on top of each other. Oops. Oops, here it is. So I'm just gonna put them on top of each other. I'm just gonna put them. Does it fit here? Well, let's see. And it does. It could technically fit right here, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'll put it out here. And this other shoulder pad will be displaced 33 as well, downwards, so they're on top of each other. You'll notice that the arms are also on top of each other, right? The same exact place. It's highlighted here. The legs are as well, the same place. If you want to have a different texture for the arm, go ahead and change this. Okay, so now that we have this done, save. And if you're done with your model, that's it. you're done with your model. You can move on to the next step in creating the texture. That will be the next tutorial though. So, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, post in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time.